Hi there, welcome to Transcontinental Trailer Sales. Today we're walking you through your 2022 Gulfstream Ameri-Lite 197Bh. We are just going to start off the back of the unit. You mainly have your spare tire, and then typically inside this rear bumper tube, you just pull this cap off, and that's where you would store your sewer hose. We currently have a brand new one located inside the compartment, which I will show you in a few minutes once we get there, but typically this is where you're going to want to store that. Next, we do have your stabilizer jack. The way that works is you're just going to hook up your 3/4 inch drive tool, which we also have located inside that compartment, and I'll show you in a moment. Hook it up to here, run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot contacts the ground, just giving another 1/8 quarter turn just to snug it up, and it's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. With all that being said, with this day and age, you can hook up a cordless impact to these, just always being careful of how much torque you do put on them, because whenever you're using an impact, you run the risk of bending them. So just be careful with that. A little further back, you got your sewer system. So you got your sewer cap, which has these knobs on it. It's the same thing that your sewer hose has. They line up with that. Clip lock into place, and you'd be in. You got your black and your gray valves. You're always going to want to empty your black first. This is going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. And then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Then you got your 2 low point drains. So if you're leaving the unit for a while, don't want the water going stale or stagnant, crack these guys open. It's going to drain all the fluid that's inside the lines. Same thing goes if you're working on a faucet or something. Just cracking these guys open does help with the mess creates inside. You get your city water connection. So if you're at a site service, you can just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the needing to run your water pump. Fridge service port, not much you need to worry about there. And then of course you got your standard 30 amp twist lock connection. You're just taking note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Lining all those up. Firmly and pushing it firmly into place. 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug end. Most campsites should have this, and you can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service. We include that 15 amp park adapter to go to a standard household plug. Just keep it in mind whenever you're going down to 15 amps of power, you're not going to be able to run that air conditioner. It's probably going to trip the breaker. 15 amp power is just to run fridge and lights really. Whenever you do plug in, you get that blue light telling you have a good power source. If the red light were to be on, it's letting you know that you have a bad power source, and it's not a problem with the trailer. You do got your furnace exhaust here, so whenever this is running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Around the front of the unit, located in this black box, is your 24 RV battery, and then you got your battery disconnect switch with the battery disconnect switch position on like it is now. The batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn that to the off position, the batteries would become disconnected from the unit. Up front, you got your standard 20-pound propane tank. We are going to put this cover on here, but just for the purpose of the video, I haven't put it on there yet. And it's like any standard barbecue. You're just going counterclockwise all the way and slowly to open up the flow of propane to the unit. Front tongue jack, little override plug here. So if this were to fail, you can stick a socket down there and run it up and down manually in case you were to ever need to do so. And then around the other side of the unit, just some outside plugs. You got your service port for your hot water heater. Pop this guy open. Whenever you first get to your campsite, you're wanting to give that pressure relief valve a pull. There should be a shot of water coming out of there, letting you know that the tank's full. We currently have the tank winterized, ready for customer pickup, just because it's still cold here in Manitoba. 1-inch drain bolt right down here. You pull that guy, it's going to drain that whole water tank. Freshwater fill right here. So if you're wanting to run off the tank with your water pump, take this off, put your garden hose in there and fill that up. And then inside this back compartment, that 3/4 inch drive tool, which I told you about for your stabilizer jacks. And then we do include this starter kit, which has your sewer hose, water hose, that 15 amp park adapter, and then just a couple other miscellaneous goodies, as well as a water hose. Now for the best part, time to get inside. Taking this assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees, it'll lock into place. It'll allow you to open up your door. So to get the stairs down, you do have to have that door open all the way. Then it'll allow you to unlock your stairs so they can fold down. Taking note of these silver tabs here, it allows you adjust your feet for your campsite needs so you can have nice and level stairs. And another thing I'm gonna note is you're gonna notice the door is fully open, blocks the awning arm. So whenever you're running the awning, always making sure you have the door folded 90 degrees. So it allows that awning to come in and out nice and easily, not causing any damage. Up on the wall here, you're gonna get your main monitor panel system. The first light switch on your left does turn on the main living space lights for the most part. And then you have one other light switch to turn on a little amber outside light. You got your awning button, so hitting that button, extend on it, it's going to start making its way out. Once fully extended, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. Now, today, I'm not sure if we'll be able to get the awning fully out, but we'll go as far as we can. Yeah, so that's about as far as you're going to go. You do see that that flap's starting to roll down. I'll retract it a little bit just so we can adjust it. Now, if we're to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear. You got these little tabs here. Push them in, pull down on this arm, and it's going to want to adjust the whole thing. So you kind of got to push and pull, and that changes the pitch of the awning head if it were to start raining, and it allows water to drain off. It also allows for more shade underneath here. So if you wanted to do the same thing to the front arm, you can. Just, of course, always making sure that you do retract them both back to their full extension before you go to bring that awning in, and they're in the same spot. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. You're bringing it in. And bringing it in is just as simple as holding that retract button, making sure the awning rolls the right way in, and it'll come all the way in. And once the arms contact the side of the trailer, you know that it's in. You got your water heater options here, so you can either fire it on gas or electric. If you do fire it on gas, making sure that you turned on the propane, biggest first step, and it is going to be the quickest, most efficient way to heat the water. You can also fire it on electric. Electric doesn't make hot water as quickly, but obviously it's a little bit of a cheaper option. And then of course you get your water pump. Turning that on draws from your fresh tank. Tells you got 2 gray tanks here. You do only have one gray, one and black is hooked up. And then you got your fresh. That's it for that there. Taking a step on over here, get your keys hanging right on the little key hanger. These are the keys for the unit, and the last person that owned this trailer did go with this custom lock, which does work. You got storage all around. To get the bed down, you're just having to take this couch, pull on it, folds down, then it'll allow you to unlock this little travel latch here for the bed. And that just allows you to fold down your mattress and you have yourself a bed. Nice and easy. It would be the opposite for packing it in. Do notice that you got your fire exit here. Just as simple as pulling this red tab, the screen will pop out of place. Then you can take your handle, push it up, push it out, and hop on out of the unit. Fire extinguisher right down there, which I've already mentioned. Now we're coming into the kitchen area. Pretty much your standard kitchen, hot and cold water. Whenever your furnace is running, it blows all its air out of here. So if you want to get a fan to move around the air a little bit, I would suggest doing so. The controls for the air conditioner are right above your head. So you got a couple different options. You can play with these louvers for where you want the air opened. It also has louvers on the side and the front. So you can really control where that air goes. Playing with that. The gray, whenever you turn the fan on, the gray is with no heat or no cooling, just the fan moving air around, no heating or cooling. And if you go to blue, that's when the air conditioning effect starts taking into place and you get cooling. You're going to show red here. This doesn't have a heat pump equipped, so it is only an air conditioner. It is not a heater, so just be mindful of that. Over here, standard kitchen. Stove does run off propane, and because the stove and the furnace both run off propane, you got an LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply propane at the front of the unit and open up some windows and vents. Also, to be warned, they are very sensitive when it comes to cleaning chemicals, so just note of that. To get the stove lights, pretty simple. Take your lighter, turn it over to the high, hit hit it with the lighter, fires right on up. Same thing with the other burner. Microwave, just like home, not much I'm going to show you there. You got your fridge and freezer combo. Controls for that are all just right here. You turn that power button on, turns itself on. You got your temperature set. So obviously with 3 lights, the third light being the coldest setting. Whenever you're in automatic, it's going to first search for shore power. Once shore power is taken away, it'll switch over to gas. If you want it to run solely on gas, you just have to press the button and it will run solely on gas. Power button to turn it on and off. Now this is going to be for the furnace. You got your temperature selection right down here, and then the on-off switch here. Whatever you turn it on and then off, it is going to run for an additional 3 minutes, just as an added cool down feature for safety reasons. You got your dinette here, which your little eating area, which does turn into a bed. You're just having to remove the legs from the bottom here. Set your table on your ledges. Take your back cushions to fill in the center. Another fire exit also here. Storage all around. You got your stereo, which is just on the wall here, pretty much just like home. Not much I'm going to show you there. Right here, you're going to notice your little cable outlet for your TV, which you also have a mounting spot for a TV if you'd want to get one. Plug in right here, and cable satellite hookup as well. Pushing that button in turns that red light on. Not only does it turn your antenna on, which bring in a couple Manitoba channels, it also improves radio frequency. So I typically leave it on, but it is a personal choice. I'm sure you're wondering what this is. So this plugs into this guy right here. And now you have this, which you do have to take outside. The reason we keep it inside is it's not waterproof or weatherproof, so you have to bring it in anytime it rains. But all you have to do is you're just going to take these plug-ins, plug them in with that guy there, plug that back accessory into this guy, and then you'd have all your controls through your remote for the strip lighting down the side. So that is just one thing to note. Always making sure to unplug it as well before you start traveling again, especially if it's raining. Bunk beds, lights on their own center push buttons. Underneath this bunk here, if you lift this guy up, you're going to see these boards. These boards are just screwed down in a few spots. Once you remove those screws, this whole paneling will come up, and that's where you get access to your water pump as well as your water heater bypass valves for winterization. And opening up this door will get you into the bathroom. Light switch on the wall. Hot and cold water at the sink. Up on the roof, you do got your standard vent fan. Opening it up all the way, you're going to notice you open up straight into the atmosphere. So if you'd like to get a max air cover, that goes over top of that. You can contact your parts department. Essentially, it goes over top of it, allows you to leave this open whether you're traveling, and if it's raining, it's not going to get wet in here. So if you'd like to get set up with that, you just contact your parts department. They can put together a quote for you. Other than that, that's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give me a call.